Right, for more on South Africa's energy challenges, we're joined now by energy expert Professor Mark Swilling. A very good evening to you, Professor. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, a lot of concerns with this matter now under the spotlight. I suppose it was only a matter of time with the admission that the municipal debt is a major dent to the power utility.
Yes, I mean it's nothing new. The escalation in municipal debt has been registered every year for quite a number of years now. But what we have is a new minister, we have a new policy framework, we have a new regulatory framework, and the electricity industry is about to be fundamentally transformed with the implementation of the Electricity Regulation Act. So there's a major concern now to figure out what to do with municipal debt.
Well, Eskom has just clocked more than 100 days free of load shedding. One would think that the achievement doesn't only signal marked improvement in generation, but financial performance too. At what point does it become complicated? Because it's a dire situation that not only undermines Eskom's financial sustainability, but also threatens its ability to perform and maintain essential infrastructure, invest in new technologies and so forth.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt it's a massive problem. It's a massive threat to everybody. You're correct. Eskom is starting to sort out its problems with regard to generation. The National Transmission Company has been set up to now deal with transmission, and so the next big, huge challenge that we now face, which Minister Ramaphosa said in his press conference recently, is distribution. And what distribution refers to is the distribution of electricity at the local level, which is split between municipalities who handle about 50% of the distribution and the other 50% by Eskom. And both of those systems are facing very severe challenges with respect to payment, theft cables, ability to service in areas which are difficult to get into. Everybody faces this challenge.
And of course, we can't ignore that while all of this is happening, residents are complaining. They're complaining of the load reduction period and the impact it has on their livelihoods. But what Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa also did say is that the debt cannot be scrapped. What does it now open some of the solutions to be if he says the debt cannot be scrapped and that there's no possibility under the sun that Eskom can recover 78 billion rand in the municipal debt?
Well, what we need to do is understand that electricity prices have escalated way above inflation year on year for quite a number of years. And that has put the squeeze on households and businesses at the local level. But where you have a situation where distribution is the municipal responsibility, in other words, the municipality, not Eskom, is responsible for delivering the electricity and collecting the revenues, they get squeezed because traditionally municipalities have used the surplus from electricity sales to cross-subsidize other services. That is all now being undermined. My own personal view is it's very unlikely that the debt will ever be collected. However, no one's going to say we're going to forgive the debt, because effectively what you're doing is rewarding inefficiencies. But underneath that, we also need to recognize there's a real challenge for households and businesses, which is as the economy's got worse, as unemployment has got worse, as the number of businesses have gone under, especially the smaller ones, electricity prices have gone up. Something has to give. We can't assume that everything is hunky-dory.
So something has definitely got to give. We heard Minister Ramakgopa speaking about how he's going to look to secure approval from Treasury for a new nuclear plant in South Africa. How beneficial of a move would this be as he tries to approach Treasury with a solution?
Well, approaching Treasury for funding to build a nuclear power station has got absolutely nothing to do with collecting the municipal debt. Even if the decision was made to build a nuclear power station, which will probably take 2 years to make that decision. It'll take another 10 years to build that power station, if we're lucky. And so in 12 to 15 years from now, which is when you start feeling the benefit of an investment in nuclear, the world will have fundamentally changed, and the costs of alternative technologies would have continued to come down. And at most, what will be procured is maybe 2,500 megawatts, which is really a drop in the ocean compared to what we actually need. We need to build 5 gigawatts of renewables per annum if we are going to achieve our targets and secure energy for everybody by 2030.
Professor Swilling, what do you think it will take to collect the municipal debt in its attempts to collect this debt? More so as residents are already feeling the pinch of the steep increase in tariff hikes.
Well, the government and the minister are in a very difficult place because they can't write it off, because that is rewarding inefficiency and quite a lot of corruption, and it creates an incentive for other people to stop paying. So government can't afford to do that. I think there is an increasing realization that the likelihood of collecting that rent, those outstanding debts in a normal way is very unlikely. You're the usual kind of carrot and stick method. So what might need to be considered is something that National Treasury has been talking about and to some extent implementing, which is some kind of conditional write-off. So on condition that payments start to take place, that will be gradually linked to writing off the debt. So some kind of mechanism or incremental mechanism over time that allows a government to be able to collect some of the debt, but that might mean paying the price of writing off some of that debt in return, in order to stabilize the system as a whole over time. But just to expect that you can continue to clobber local government hard enough so that until they cough up, it's unlikely that that's going to succeed.
And very quickly, Professor, just before we let you go, what do you think the ripple effect of this debt will be? Is it a point where we can now prepare to see load shedding returning, and not load reduction per se, but actual load shedding coming back?
I don't think there's a direct relationship between the two. So last year, the Minister of Finance in his budget speech announced the 254 billion injection into Eskom in order to help Eskom settle its debt. So Eskom has a debt of over 400 billion. That's now going to be drastically reduced to a level which it can afford. There is some debate about whether NERSA is going to agree to the tariff hikes, which are very high, that Eskom has submitted, and the minister made a disparaging comment about the extent of those tariff hikes. So nobody really knows exactly, how all of that's going to to pan out. But as far as Eskom is concerned, unless it gets those tariff hikes so that it can continue to cover the cost of operations and service what debt it has left in order to service, unless it gets that revenue from somewhere, either from us as the users of electricity, or from us as taxpayers via the fiscus. Those are the only two ways in which Eskom can remain afloat.